So guys, I'm back again with with another review of the case study of Vanitas. This is my review for episode 2 of this anime. As always, guys, if you are here for reviews of this anime and other anime that I'm watching on the side that I'm unable to react to on the channel, definitely stick around. If you're just here for reactions for anime here on the channel, definitely still stick around. But with that, guys, let's jump into this second episode of the case study of Vanitas. Let's get it. So way at the beginning of episode 2 here, we have a young Noé, and he's sitting next to a friend of his. They're out in the forest or something, the woods, something like that, but it's open space. There's other kids to the left of the scene here playing, but Noé is having this this conversation with his friend about the curse bearers and how vampires go berserk. And this story about the curse bearers, the blue moon, this story has been around for many generations. I mean, we gained some information about this at the very beginning of episode 1, and then rolling into the episode, we found out some more information. But here, it definitely seems like it's been passed. This story has this folktale has been passed down from generation to generation, and then we will even see some other stuff about this topic in this episode moving forward. But this scene specifically, they're sitting here having this conversation. His friend, he's basically like he looks like to be carving something in this piece of wood that he's carving into, but he ends up cutting his hand and licking the blood from his hand because he too is a vampire. So this scene was just a very interesting scene. But again, this just lets me know that this folktale has been passed down about the curse bearers, about the blue moon, all of that. This stuff has been passed down from generation to generation. Now, once we get past the credit scenes of this episode, I forgot to mention that the title of this episode is In the City of Flowers. But once we get to the next actual scene in the episode, basically Vanitas and Noé are in jail because they did indeed get caught by the police. They ended up getting arrested. They ended up getting placed in jail. But the thing is that Noé, he basically like fell asleep or got unconscious. Something happened to where he had been sleeping for half a day. This is what Vanitas told him, because Noé was just like, what happened? Why are we in jail and stuff like that? So, they're talking about this and trying to gain the surroundings and what's really going on as far as why they're there. But in the midst of that, they start talking about their belongings being taken, about the book, and they end up also discussing the fact that Noé was sent here by, he says no, I said I was sent here by my master to gain information on it. He my master didn't send me to steal it. He didn't send me to take it. He just wanted me to just check it out, look at it, maybe read the pages, maybe jot some notes down. But that's pretty much it. You tell him to take it. That's what he was telling himself as well during their conversation. Just simply to seek out the book and to just look into it and see what it's about. And that's pretty much this is what Noé was charged for. And basically Vanitas is basically saying like, if that's the case, then maybe you should join me on my excursion. Might as well just join me. Noé basically said like, well, maybe I could, even though I don't like you. little funny little moment of comedy. But once their conversation basically wraps up, then a guard comes and says, "We're released. We couldn't hold you overnight any longer. You have been invited by Count Orlok. You need to go visit him." And then with that, they end up stepping outside. Once they step outside, though, it's basically like the scene here was I enjoyed this scene. It's basically like if you were sitting in a dark, like a really, really pitch black dark room for hours. You just enter, no light at all. And when you finally go outside, the sun hits you and everything, colors, lights, everything just hits you all at once. And this is basically what happened with Noé when he actually steps outside. The flowers to the left here, they're like the wind is like pushing the flowers all across the street and even in Noé and Vanitas' direction. And it was just like for Noé Noé's perspective, it was like majestic, like it was like really really pretty, really beautiful. Then the music too, and that's the thing I mentioned this in my review of episode 1. Like the music in episode 1 was just really good, and even here in episode 2 is also really good. So the music is just playing a huge role in me enjoying this anime. But of course, the plot, the story, the characters are really really good. But I really did enjoy this scene here, and they're basically walking out. Vanitas basically says, we're in the city of flowers. Again, key to the actual title of the episode. And we are going to be out direct you and taking you to find Count Orlok, because we have a meeting with him. So that's where they're headed to next. And again, this scene, like I said, was just really, really cool to see. Now, once they get to the place they need to get to, which is called the Gallery Valentine, they go up into the office of Count Orlok. Now, Orlok, him and his subordinates basically here, this maid looks like this butler. Basically they're all vampires, right? Now Orlok, you can tell he looks like he's been through a battle or four, right? He definitely seems like one of those vampires that went through some things with the scars. He has scars on his hands, and he has a huge scar on his face, right? So Vanitas, he sits down on the couch. They're basically having a discussion about what to do next, and that's the key thing about this scene. It starts to tie into another conversation a bit further in the episode, but this kind of starts to lean towards something that I found very interesting. Now, Orlok and his people, they're basically saying, we have the book, we have this book in our hand, and Orlok is basically claiming that the Book of Vanitas is it's rubbish, it's garbage, it has no use. And that's the thing Orlok even mentions, because I think I forgot to mention this in my review of episode 1, that Vanitas, that's not his actual name. He just took on that name because his mentor was the original Vanitas, who taught him how to use the book. That's what it seems like he was basically saying in episode 1. But he just basically said, I took on the name that like the person before me, and I'm taking this book and helping to cure vampires. Orlok basically says that we are you, because Vanitas basically told them, like, I'm here to save vampires, I'm here to cure them and stuff like that. But Orlok is saying, like, no, we can't do what you're saying to do. It's impossible, because again, this book is useless. But then also Orlok mentioned something else that was also key per this scene, and that key thing is that Orlok said that Emilia is basically in prison. She's on lockdown, and she's supposed to be executed because they believe that she's still a vampire. Her true name has been corrupted, and she can't go about living everyday life. They don't believe that what Vanitas had told them, that that the book can cure. Even Noé was trying to explain to them that Noé that Vanitas cured our Amelia. Amelia. And I'm sorry if I said her name wrong a minute ago, but Amelia is on lockdown. She, as you can see here in the scene, her mouth is covered, and her hands are bound. She just in lockdown, and they're basically saying that she is slated to be executed. But with that too, there was something else that, per Noé's memory, a scene popped up from his past that reminded him of the current situation when it's pertaining to Amelia and her execution. That reminder that when it's pertaining to Amelia and her execution is this past scene from his childhood, where we see his friend from way back at the beginning of episode 2, that they're having a conversation. They bring up one of their friends. Her name is Mina. She is a vampire. She's a curse bearer, and she too was getting ready to basically be taken and be executed per the style of that time at that time. And Noé and his friend were him and his friend here were going back and forth about whether or not they could save Mina. They could change her from being a curse bearer to just being a regular normal human being. And his friend was basically telling Noé like, this is impossible, it can't happen. So this memory pops up, and it just reminds Noé, per Amelia's current situation, of this past memory. And so he basically just like yells at everybody and says like, we really need to do something about this. I feel like we should just, if you just put a little bit of faith in us, because he took the book out of Orlok's hand too. He knocked over his table. He just basically told him like, put a little bit of faith in us basically, and I will go and help with the current situation, because we know that there's a vampire out here killing people now. Let me take Vanitas in the book. We will go and get this vampire and bring him back to you to show you so you can see with your own eyes that the truth is what we're telling you, and that this book can indeed cure vampires. So that is now what they're getting ready to go do moving forward in this episode. Now, after they've agreed to do what needs to be done with the task at hand and go and find this vampire to help cure it, basically they go up. Once they go outside of the Garden Valentine here, this person, which is the partner from episode 1 that was with Vanitas in episode 1, this is Dante. Dante is basically like, I believe he's a vampire informant. At the time, it's not stated that he's a vampire. He kind of looks like a vampire, right? So to me, he just seems like he's a vampire informant. The only reason why he does stuff is basically for money. Even though, because he's a vampire, I feel like he could just take stuff without even asking and go about his business, which includes taking money from people. But again, him being a vampire and doing it sort of the legit way, it's cool in my book. But so Dante, he also had this little bat with him that kind of like got in Noé's face. But there's a reason for that bat being there. But they're conversating, they're just getting an introduction going along. But eventually Dante tells Noé that this little bat here can sense other strong vampires basically, and so you take this bat with you, and once you do that, it'll direct you exactly to find exactly where that vampire is that you're looking for. And immediately once he tells him that, Noé just grabs Vanitas, and it, like, the scene shows some blood vessels and stuff, and his eyes go from his normal color to orangish color, vampire activation basically, and he hops up a building, and then they just start moving forward, following that bat that decides to go in the direction where that killer vampire is currently. And once we move just a little bit further in this scene, we get an introduction of Johann. Johann and Dante, they know each other, but Johann basically grabs Dante, and he tells him like, hey, he also mentions that he finds Vanitas attractive too, which was a funny little moment. But Johann basically says that he tells Dante that there's this person that's in Paris. The person's name is either Rufins or Ruthins Boru, and he's in Paris. And once he told him that, Dante was just like, in shock, like a fearing shock, right? And then Johann says, and your friend here, he just might end up dying. That friend that he's talking about definitely is Vanitas. So this Ruthins person sounds like to be a very, very dangerous person. But I'm guessing we're gonna find out that information moving forward in the anime itself. But this scene here definitely seems to play a key role in the anime itself. Now, eventually, the bat gets Noé and Vanitas where they need to get to, and that's the search is to find this specific vampire. This vampire is actually looks a really, really cool vampire to me. But it just like the way the form is specifically, is just looks cool with the arms being all black like that and his eyes all red. But this vampire is attacking a woman, and eventually Noé and Dante get to. But a funny moment is that Noé grabs, well, he takes Vanitas, and he like chucks him, throws him at this vampire, and like their heads hit at the same time, and then Vanitas crashes into some crates off to the side, and he basically yells at him, "Are you trying to kill me?" But eventually Noé jumps down, and he is able to contain the vampire in like a stronghold, and then eventually that's when Vanitas activates the book, and he's able to cure the vampire. But once that occurs, then things get really interesting just several seconds later. So guys, this is where the episode truly picks up. It's basically towards the end of the episode. We get the introduction to Luca and Johnny. Luca is there, is the little one on the right there, and right next to her is Johnny. Now, Johnny is like quiet. Now, when you know and realize that that there's a character that doesn't say anything, you know that at any given moment this character can go from 0 to 100 or 1,000 or over 9,000. No pun intended. Well, pun intended on Dragon Ball Z and Vegeta, but you realize that this character can definitely hand out some L's, basically, definitely drop some bodies. So the key thing to note in this scene, right? There's a couple of things, but one of the specific key things to note, guys, is that it ties into what I was talking about earlier in the episode with his conversation with their conversation with Orlok. Orlok had said, that the book was useless and this, that, and the third. It's gibberish. It can't cure vampires. Luca brings up saying that she basically is requesting. She's asking Vanitas, "Hey, can I will you give me the book so that I can destroy it?" She says that basically this is what she's been told. Luca says that the book is the reason for causing vampires to exist. That the book transforms people into vampires. It doesn't cure them. Her mentioning that at this moment in the scene, I was just like, wow, like, okay, all right. So stories are being skewed. That was my mindset at the time of watching the scene. Stories are being skewed, and so with Luca mentioning that, I was just like, wow, okay, all right, this is going in a very interesting direction. But again, Luca asking Vanitas to give her the book, he turns her down, and then also Noé tries to explain that well, we have no time, we have to go and basically take this vampire, take the book, go to Orlok and prove that this vampire has been cured. But Noé can't even get that off, because Luca basically is saying, like, somebody that I know personally is suffering. They are a vampire now. They're a curse bearer now, and I need to save them. And eventually we found out Luca says that it's my big brother. He is a curse bearer. I need to save him, and I need to destroy this book. Please, Vanitas, give me this book. But again, of course, Vanitas, he just turns her down. But with that, in turn, this is where Johnny comes into play, and oh, what a play she exhibits. So I want to apologize, guys, because I had my information all a little bit skewed. But the Johann mentioning Ruthen's bureau, right? He had mentioned that the person's in Paris, in town. This person here, Johnny, is that Ruthen's bureau, and because once she opens up that casket thing that she was holding, carrying with her, it shows this crimson gauntlet, because Vanitas recognizes it, and he says, no, we need to bounce. We need to get out of here. We need to run away. We need to run away quick, fast. We'll die. Basically he said that, this person with this gauntlet is supposed to be this legendary vampire vanquisher. You know, happened hundreds or thousands of years ago. Fought over hundreds of vampires and killed them all with this gauntlet. You know, we need to get out of here right away. And once they start running, of course, you know, Johnny catches up with them and fires off the blast. But of course, you know, Noé, he's able to save them from the attack. But literally, guys, Johnny just did her thing in this scene, specifically her opening the gauntlet and showing, you know, putting the gauntlet on, wearing it, and just showing off just her skill alone. They obviously they survived off of luck. So that attack definitely it shot off this blast that went for blocks. So yeah, she's nothing to trifle with, nothing to play with when it comes to fighting. So yeah, Ruth is actually here. This is her. This is Johnny, and she basically is just like you don't want to mess with her, not at all. Once they find a place to hide out, Noé he is hurt, by the way. He's holding, as you can see from this image, he's holding his left shoulder. He is bleeding from there, but you know, basically during this scene, from that very cool scene to Johnny, by the way, I really liked that scene. They are having a conversation, and basically Vanitas kind of brings up something, but also kind of confirms some other stuff. So basically what Luca was talking about, she said that, you know, the book can be a curse towards human beings, turn them into vampires and stuff like that. You know, Vanitas basically kind of said, like, she wasn't wrong in what she stated. Like, you know, the book can indeed do both things. Basically, you know, Vanitas is curing vampires, but then also, if he wanted to, he could turn people into vampires. But Noé, this is what he says during the scene. He says, but that's the thing. It's one thing to know about something, but then it's another thing to do it in a different way that is more positive. And basically he was saying, like, yeah, like, I've seen what you've done with the book. You know, you curing Amelia in episode 1, basically in episode 1, you know, you curing Amelia, which lets me know that this book is being used in a righteous way. That's just what he says. You know, but you know, he's also saying, like, basically saying that, you know, it's in the right hands right now, but if the book gets placed into the wrong hands, it could definitely be used in the wrong way. Vanitas, you know, he kind of laughs it off. He just says, you know, you know, I am enjoying you, but you can be a little bit unbearable at times. But at the same time, Vanitas end up saying, like, you know, I know what we can do to get out of this predicament right now. So, you know, that's pretty much the episode in itself, guys. I apologize for this video being so long. It's probably going to be roughly 20 something minutes once I do my editing and stuff, but hopefully you enjoy this review, and definitely hopefully you enjoyed the episode if you were able to watch it. But episode 2, like I said, episode 1 was really good. The music was really good. Music in this episode was really just really great. Just the scenes, the dialogue, you know, all of this stuff was just really fun. And of course, you know, Jeanne's part just blew me away, and what she did, that was just really cool. So, you know, this anime is just has been just fun so far. Just 2 episodes in for myself. I'll be watching episode 3 and trying to get my review video up the next day if possible. After this one goes up, I'm gonna try and see if I can do that, because I believe that episode 4 will be pushed out this week. So hopefully I can get all this done in time to be able to watch and review episode 4 the same day and get that video out to you guys. But what did you all think of episode 2? If you sat down and watched it, let's have some conversation in the comment section below. What did y'all think of this video? If you made it through the entire video for however long it is. But let's talk about some things, guys. Let's have some conversations if you feel up to it. But other than that, I will talk to you next time with more the case study of Vanitas. Peace, guys.